What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Three Pyramids Network. And today we are reacting to uh, the richest black families in Maryland. Ironically enough, I just found out that I have another half of my family that lives in Maryland. Uh, that's a story in and of itself. I might talk about it sometime. Other than that, this is your host, the ignorant, eclectic, mad genius, man. And hit that like, hit that subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and let me stop talking. Let's check this out. Let's see how rich these people is in Maryland.
Running a media company or a real estate empire, but quietly operating as the invisible infrastructure behind the CIA, the NSA,
Huh?
and the Department of Defense.
That makes
That's
oh,
right,
wow.
and in this video,
Perfect sense.
we'll be looking at 8 richest black dynasties in Maryland, with 8 crazy stories about how black wealth is prospering in that state. Let's count them down. Number 8, the Durant Dynasty, the real MVP. Kevin Durant grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, one of the wealthiest majority black counties in the United States, and has spent the years since becoming one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, methodically buying back the place that made him. His net worth sits above $300 million, drawn from 3 distinct streams: projected career NBA earnings past $590 million, a Nike lifetime deal worth an estimated $50 million annually, and 35 Ventures, his venture capital firm holding stakes in over 100 companies, including Coinbase and Postmates. But the PG County story is the one that tells you where his head actually is. In 2025, Durant acquired a 515-acre property in Prince George's County, the former site of Six Flags America, with plans to redevelop it into a multi-billion-dollar mixed-use destination. Think about the specific
Holy
weight of that
shit.
move. An athlete who grew up in that county, who left it to become globally famous, coming back to literally purchase the land and build something new on it. That's not philanthropy. That's a landlord decision about your own community, made at the scale that
I did not know that about KD. The more you know.
only a certain kind of wealth enables. His mother, Wanda Durant, immortalized as the real MVP after his 2014 MVP speech made the phrase a cultural moment, is a genuine partner in the family's vision, not a ceremonial presence. The dynasty is explicitly a 2-person operation, and Wanda's fingerprints are on both the community investment philosophy and the foundation work that the Kevin Durant Charity Foundation delivers through local schools. His media brand, Boardroom, has become the premier platform for the business of sports conversation in America. A content operation that functions simultaneously as a venture capital signal and a community resource for Maryland's young black professional class trying to understand how wealth actually gets built. His car collection includes a 1966 Ford GT40 valued at approximately $4 million. The luxury and the community work coexist without apparent contradiction, which is either a testament to his self-awareness or proof that at a certain wealth level, the contradiction simply disappears. But while PG County's son bought the old Six Flags, the next name on our list didn't buy land. They bought an entire multinational food company in a leveraged buyout that put a black-owned firm on the Fortune 500 for the first time in history.
No shit.
Number 7. The Reginald F. Lewis Estate. The East Baltimore delivery boy who built the first black billion-dollar company.
Shout out to B.
Reginald F. Lewis passed away in 1993, but he is on this list anyway because the wealth he created, the institutions he funded, and the standard he set are actively shaping Maryland's black business landscape 30 years after his death, which is the definition of a dynasty that outlasted its founder. Lewis grew up in East Baltimore, the son of a working-class family, delivering newspapers and doing what needed to be done. He graduated from Dunbar High School, a Baltimore institution, earned his law degree from Harvard, and spent the 1980s executing a series of increasingly bold corporate acquisitions. The signature move came in 1987, a $985 million leveraged buyout of Beatrice International Foods, the international arm of the massive Beatrice companies, which placed TLC Beatrice on the Fortune 500 list as the first black-owned company to appear there.
Oh, wow.
His net worth at the time of his death was estimated at $400 million. a figure that would represent billions in today's purchasing power. The Forbes estimate almost certainly understated the actual picture, given the private nature of much of his holdings. He left 10% of his estate specifically to the Reginald F. Lewis Foundation to fund social justice and education work in perpetuity. Here's what the legacy looks like in practice. His widow, Loida Nicholas Lewis, a Filipino-American attorney who had no prior executive background, took over as CEO of TLC Beatrice after his death and successfully navigated the company through the remainder of the 1990s, eventually orchestrating its wind-down in a way that preserved and distributed the remaining value. His daughter, Christina Lewis, launched GiveBlock, a fintech platform connecting donors to Black-led nonprofits, carrying her father's ethos directly into the digital economy. The Reginald F. Lewis Museum on Baltimore's Pratt Street ensures that every generation of Marylanders encounters the story before they even know they needed it. His biography, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun?, is a staple in Maryland business schools, and that title is doing a lot of rhetorical work that the content fully backs up. East Baltimore to the Fortune 500 in one lifetime. Now the next dynasty built something equally foundational. But they built it in media, from a radio station floor, one sleepless night at a time. Number 6. The Hughes-Liggins Dynasty, the mother-son duo with an unbelievable backstory. In 1980, Kathy Hughes purchased Wallam Station in Washington, D.C., something she could barely afford. And when the money ran out in the early years, she moved herself into the station and slept on the floor rather than give up the asset. That detail is not a metaphor for dedication. It is a literal description of where she spent her nights. From that floor, she built Urban One, the largest Black-owned media company in the United States, headquartered in Lanham, Maryland, with 60 broadcast radio stations, TV One reaching 59 million households, and a digital portfolio that includes Bossip and Madame Noir. The combined net worth of the Hughes-Liggins dynasty is estimated at approximately $500 million. Her son, Alfred Liggins III, the Ivy League closer, as he's known in Maryland business circles, took the company public in 1999, making Kathy Hughes the first Black woman in history to chair a publicly traded company. That's not a regional distinction. That's an American first, executed from Lanham, Maryland. Here's where the story gets genuinely spicy. Hughes is not a diplomatic public figure. When she launched an aggressive campaign to secure a Black-owned casino license in Richmond, Virginia, and faced political resistance, she went on air and called out members of the Black middle class by name, accusing those who didn't support her bid of being class traitors. That is the kind of public statement that generates enemies and fans in exactly equal measure, which is very on brand for someone who built a media empire by refusing to soften her perspective for anyone's comfort. In Maryland, she is more than a CEO. She is a cultural institution. The Lanham headquarters functions almost as a site of pilgrimage for Black entrepreneurs in the DMV corridor. Her One VIP card is a specific financial product designed to circulate wealth within the Black Maryland consumer community. And Urban One's radio and television platforms are so structurally important to regional political communication that no Maryland politician, be it a Democrat or a Republican, can effectively reach the Black electorate without going through them. Next up, we have a man who was appointed to a city tax board at 23, became its chairman at 24, and used that insider knowledge to build the most sophisticated real estate operation in DMV history. Number 5. The Peebles family. $5 billion portfolio from scratch. Don Peebles has a biographical detail that explains everything about how his career actually works. At 23 years old, D.C. Mayor Marion Barry appointed him to the city's Real Property Tax Assessment Appeals Board. At 24, he became its chairman. That position gave him something no amount of Harvard education could: a structural understanding of how public real estate value gets assigned, contested, and, crucially, exploited by people who know the system from the inside. He proceeded to spend the next 3 decades doing exactly that. His net worth is estimated in excess of $700 million, with a real estate portfolio across gateway cities valued at approximately $5 billion. The Peebles Corporation, founded in 1983, operates on what he calls affirmative development. Luxury projects structured through public-private partnerships that explicitly build economic inclusion into the deal architecture rather than treating it as a compliance afterthought. That model has unlocked contracts and partnerships that traditional developers cannot access, because most of them aren't designed to meet the criteria that Peebles builds his proposals around. His son, Donahue Peebles III, Columbia-educated, serving as COO and CEO of Legacy Real Estate
Whoa.
Development, is now leading the affordable housing portion of the family's pipeline, including the 17 Mississippi project in the DMV region. The succession here isn't just financial, it's philosophical, with the next generation explicitly carrying the affirmative development framework into a housing crisis that has made the conversation more urgent than ever. The ideological texture of Peebles himself is genuinely interesting. He is a regular CNBC and Fox business commentator who debates socialist agendas with visible enthusiasm, while simultaneously backing Democratic candidates including Kamala Harris, and while building his entire business model on public-private partnerships that require active government participation. That is not hypocrisy. That is a very specific kind of pragmatic sophistication that Maryland's development landscape rewards without asking too many questions. And now, let's head to a family that is managing $10 billion in assets from a city most financial people have overlooked. Number 4. The Brown family. The Jackie Robinson of Wall Street. Here is a question that the finance world doesn't ask often enough. What does it look like when someone who has accumulated significant wealth decides, at the height of their success, to give the entire company to their employees? That is what Eddie C. Brown did with Brown Capital Management, the Baltimore-based investment firm he founded in 1983.
Wow.
And the decision reveals something important about how the Brown family thinks about wealth that goes beyond the balance sheet. Brown was the first black portfolio manager at T. Rowe Price, earning the nickname Jackie Robinson of Wall Street for breaking that particular barrier in one of the most racially homogeneous industries in American professional life. The firm he built on the back of that experience deployed a growth at a reasonable price philosophy. Find high-quality companies, hold them, let compounding do the work. That produced over $10 billion in assets under management.
Listen, that's literally exactly how one of my future financial plans, I want it to work out. I don't want to sell it. Like when it's low, you buy. When it's high, you hold. You might, you know what I mean, take a little bit off the top, just a little bit. Like whatever your first investment was, you can take that off. That's cool. But yeah, I like that. That's ingenious.
And a
Yeah.
track record that made Brown Capital one of the most respected boutique investment firms in the country. His personal fortune, accumulated across decades of high-performance management fees and a private portfolio of real estate and fine art, remains substantial even after the firm's employee transfer. He and his wife, C. Sylvia Brown, are the owners of the Ivy Hotel in Baltimore's Mount Vernon district, a luxury boutique property consistently cited as one of the finest hotels in the nation, which is a meaningful statement about Baltimore that the city's critics tend to overlook. Their family foundation has donated over $55 million to Baltimore-based causes in health, education, and the arts. Their collection of African-American art is world-class,
That's
the kind of
fire.
collection that rivals what public museums display, maintained privately, and used to elevate institutions including the Maryland Institute College of Art. For over 20 years, Brown appeared regularly on PBS's Wall Street Week with Louis Rukeyser, making him a household name among the generation of American investors who built wealth through that program.
I'm kind of mad. I'm just now hearing about this guy. Wow. Uh, man, let me know if y'all ever heard of him before.
The Browns are Baltimore royalty in the most literal sense. They stayed, they invested, and they gave the company away. That combination is rare enough to be worth marking. But while it is impressive, the next woman on this list did something no black woman has ever done before, and she did it after one of the most dramatic personal reinventions in Maryland's social history. Number 3. The Sheila Johnson dynasty. She married the judge from her own divorce. Let's start with the fact that stops people mid-sentence when they first hear it.
What?
Sheila Johnson's second husband is William T. Newman, the same judge who presided over her divorce from Robert Johnson. She met him through the proceedings, the relationship developed after the case concluded, and they married. Whether you find that romantic, ironic, or simply very Maryland depends entirely on your disposition, but it is genuinely one of the most remarkable biographical details in the DMV's social history. What she built after that divorce is the more important story. Her net worth is estimated at $1.2 billion as of early 2026, meaning she not only preserved her share of the BET fortune, but grew it substantially on her own terms. Her primary vehicle is the Salamander Collection, a luxury hospitality brand she founded that has redefined the Mid-Atlantic resort experience. The flagship Salamander Resort and Spa, valued at over $130 million, sits in Middleburg, Virginia. The recently revamped Salamander DC represents her urban market expansion. These are not celebrity-backed hotel names. They are owner-operated, design-driven properties built by someone who understands hospitality as an asset class, not a lifestyle. Then there's the sports ownership. Sheila Johnson is a partner in Monumental Sports and Entertainment, the ownership group controlling the Washington Wizards, the Washington Capitals, and the Washington Mystics.
Okay.
She holds stakes in all three simultaneously, making her the first Black woman in history to hold ownership positions across three major professional sports franchises. That is not a technicality or a minority stake footnote. She is vice chairwoman of MSE, embedded in television rights negotiations, urban planning discussions, and billion-dollar infrastructure conversations that directly affect Maryland's economy. Her 2023 memoir, Walk Through Fire, details her journey openly: the difficult marriage, the divorce, the reinvention. The openness has made her an icon of the Maryland professional class in a way that pure financial success rarely achieves on its own. Her advocacy through the Greater Washington Partnership for Inclusive Growth has direct policy implications for the Maryland business climate. She is a fixture in Baltimore and Bethesda philanthropic circles. She does all of this from the Plains, Virginia, and the Maryland sports fan base that drives much of her commercial engine sits primarily in Montgomery and Prince George's counties. Now, we have two dynasties left, and they are in a different wealth category entirely. The next one starts with a $3 billion sale and a divorce that split a billion-dollar fortune in half and somehow created two separate empires. Number 2, the Robert L. Johnson dynasty, the first Black billionaire in history.
I've heard of him.
In 2001, Robert L. Johnson became the first African-American billionaire in history, a distinction that arrived through the sale of Black entertainment television to Viacom for $3 billion, a transaction that permanently reordered the landscape of Black media ownership in America. He had built BET from a cable channel concept into a cultural institution that reached tens of millions of households, and then he sold it at precisely the right moment. The timing was not accidental. His post-BET operation, the RLJ Companies, headquartered in Bethesda, Maryland, represents one of the most sophisticated pivots from media mogul to diversified capital operator in recent American business history. The portfolio spans RLJ Lodging Trust, a publicly traded REIT owning over 100 premium branded hotels with a market cap above $2 billion. RLJ McLarty Landers Automotive, one of the largest automotive retail groups in the United States, generating over $1 billion in annual revenue. And RLJ Equity Partners, a private equity firm focused on mid-market companies. His net worth, following various estimates across his post-BET period, has rebounded to somewhere between $1 billion and $2.5 billion by 2026. The divorce from Sheila Johnson in 2002, after 33 years of marriage, is the event that most reshaped the Maryland wealth landscape in ways people underestimate. The roughly equal split of the BET fortune didn't diminish the Johnson dynasty. It duplicated it. Two separate billionaire trajectory operations now exist where one existed before, competing in overlapping DMV markets for sports ownership, real estate, and institutional influence. That is a rare outcome for a divorce. It usually destroys wealth rather than multiplying it. Johnson has been a significant political donor and an outspoken advocate on economic policy, including an aggressive $14 trillion reparations proposal that generated headlines significantly beyond the normal reach of a business news story. His ownership of the Charlotte Bobcats, purchased and later sold to Michael Jordan, demonstrated his ability to operate at the intersection of sports, celebrity, and capital in ways that his original cable television background might not have predicted. RLJ Development has been ranked among the largest black-owned firms in Maryland, with nearly $600 million in revenue. To sum it up, it was a divorce that created two empires. And now, the family at number one doesn't show up in media cycles, doesn't seek political office, and they don't need it either, because they are the invisible infrastructure that the CIA, the NSA, and the Department of Defense literally cannot function without. Number 1. The Stewart Dynasty. The CIA and NSA's technology backbone. David Stewart grew up in the segregated South, the son of a mechanic and a janitor. He built worldwide technology in 1990 from essentially nothing, and by 2026, it has grown into a $20 billion enterprise in
Wow.
annual revenue that serves as the technological backbone for the federal agencies and military installations that define Maryland's entire economic identity. His personal net worth is estimated at $11.4 billion, making him the wealthiest Black American on the Forbes 400
Probably
list.
way more than that.
Stop and let the client list breathe for a second. The FBI, the CIA, the National Security Agency, the Department of Defense. These are not government contracts in the conventional sense, a staffing firm providing administrative support or a catering company serving the cafeteria. WWT provides complex cloud architecture, cybersecurity infrastructure, and digital transformation solutions to the most sensitive and operationally critical agencies in the United States government.
We
The
can do
firm
anything,
employs
baby.
nearly 10,000 people. Stewart maintains an 80% ownership stake in what is deliberately kept private. And a significant portion of that $20 billion in annual revenue flows through contracts executed within Maryland's borders. Fort Meade, Aberdeen Proving Ground, the intelligence community facilities in the cyber corridor that runs through the state. Here's the insight that makes the Stewart family genuinely different from every other dynasty on this list. They control both the hardware of American power and the software of American culture simultaneously. David Stewart II, his son, founded Polarity LLC, which includes Lion Forge Animation, the only Black-owned animation studio of its kind in the country. The Stewart daughter, Kimberly, founded K-Period Media, the production company behind Manchester by the Sea, winner of 2 Academy Awards in 2017. One branch of the family is running
lineage
federal
is
defense
strong.
IT contracts. Another is producing Oscar-winning films. A third is managing an animation studio creating new visual narratives for Black audiences. That is not diversification as a financial strategy. That is a deliberate architecture of influence across every layer of how American society processes information and power. The family's servant leadership philosophy, rooted in deep religious conviction and David Stewart's working-class upbringing, runs through everything from how WWT approaches its government relationships to how the family manages its philanthropy toward underrepresented communities. He has spoken openly about growing up in a segregated environment as formative to his understanding of what access to resources and opportunity actually means. And that understanding is visible in every organizational decision WWT has made about its workforce and its community partnerships. And that's a wrap on the 8 Dynasty's richest Black families from Maryland, with 8 complete.
Yo, let me know down in the comments down below. Did you know any of these individuals, and has any of this given you any inspiration? I know I got a little bit of it. And I learned a few different things. Love each and every last one of y'all, man. I will catch you on the next one. Um, yeah, if you have any other videos that you would be or that you think I would be interested in, hit me up on my Instagram page. Yeah, on my main Instagram page. Hit me up on there, DM me the video or whatever, and I'll check it out. Love each and every last one of y'all. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. On the road to 1,000 subscribers, man. Love each and every last one of y'all, man. I'm out. Peace.